Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lauren de Laguna. I am so honored to be joined by J.F. Gariépy. We just went over how to pronounce your name, but it is a difficult. Why don't you pronounce it for the crowd?
Jean-François Gariépy.
Beautiful. You said it. Wow, that is such an accent. Yeah, it's a nice name.
Who's this close to naked person on the thumbnail? Is that you?
Yeah. Do I not look like my picture? Do you think I'm catfishing?
Well, I don't know. With the weird face, I wasn't really recognizing. So what motivated you to put yourself close to naked on the thumbnail?
That's a great question. I thought I was going to be doing the interview, but here you are. You're quite the interviewer. So I took all my thumbnail pictures the same time I was doing a photo shoot, and I forgot to bring a cover up, and I thought it would be funny, and I never realized I'd be interviewing someone about their missing wife, and here we are. So I have been using that same picture for other thumbnails as well. But anyway, I actually want to, before we get started too deep into, this really painful situation that you're going through, because I really empathize, like I can't imagine what it must be going through to be dealing with a missing wife. I do want to get into who you are, because you're a fascinating person in yourself.
Okay.
So can you tell me about your education, your educational background, and your career?
Well, I'm a biologist, and I've done some research at the doctoral level on the brain, how the brain controls basic behaviors like respiration and locomotion. And I've always been interested. Ultimately, my question is how does human society emerge from brain and biological reactions in the brain? That was what motivated my research career. And eventually, after doing my PhD on more basic stuff, I moved on to monkey research. So I started studying communities of monkeys, and I studied them while they were interacting socially to see what are the brain mechanisms behind monkey social interaction, because ultimately I see human society as a bunch of monkeys yelling at each other, threatening each other, and just forming alliances. So I thought that the monkey was a good model to understand what were the evolutionary roots of our complex political and social behaviors. I was not super satisfied by the amount of things I was let to do and the extent of the freedom that is left to an academic. When you're in the university, you have to submit a lot of your thinking to other people. You have to ask permission. You have to receive a grant from the government. I stopped caring about this, and I went on my own eventually and decided to do science on my own without caring about what the system would think about it, and discovering ultimately my ultimate contribution to biology is the revolutionary phenotype, which is a theory. Yes.
When was that published?
In 2018. So I went on my own and decided to design my own theory of biology to explain the very first event at the beginning of a line of descent, the events that have happened 4 billion years ago on our planet and that gave birth to DNA-based life. And the theory that I present shows extremely worrying potential for the future of humanity, because it seems that we are about to engage in another phenotypic revolution. That is, the moment we start playing with our genes, the moment we start modifying babies genetically, we will be causing an event that will eventually turn us into a class of slaves for a centrally controlling computer that will modify us into puppets of its own, at its service. And that is a very dangerous direction that we're taking. And it all starts with a single genetic modification of a single human being. And so the message of my book is, let us not do this. Let us accept sexual reproduction as humans and the importance of it for continuing what humans became, which is a complex, freely acting, freely thinking species.
Wow, that's really complex. I agree with you on a lot of points about the modification of humans. I've previously discussed on this show eugenics in form of abortion. I think, for instance, we had Lila Hart's husband on, and Lila Hart has spina bifida, and so people like her would be exterminated. And so, there's a lot of I haven't heard the theory that it would make us slave to machinery before, so I'd like to hear a little bit more about how that evolves from, modifying human and playing God into becoming a slave to machinery.
Basically, there are two forms of evolution. You either evolve as the carrier of your own genes, or you evolve to serve another carrier. The example in nature that we have of this is basically all known animals versus bees and ants. When you look at bees and ants, something special happened there to their evolution, because a single bee or ant apparently doesn't care about dying if it helps the colony, if it helps the queen. And when you ask yourself, what is the difference? Why did bees become bee, and why did all the other animals become self-serving carriers of their own genes? And ultimately, it's because when you are an individual that serves a central entity's capacity to make babies, when you have a queen, you are not evolving for yourself. You are evolving at the service of the queen. And so you must never find yourself in a situation where the source of your genes is another reproductive entity, and you're merely just a copy of it, a kind of blueprint produced copy of it that merely acts phenotypically. You must always be the reproductive agent in your chain of transmission, or else you become a sterile worker like the bees. So what I'm saying is that once a central AI
I was just actually going to bring up the bees. I mean, the bees evolve, right? And they serve queens. So wouldn't they kind of disprove your theory a little bit, or no? What am I missing?
Well, I'm not saying it's not evolution. It is evolution. And a phenotypic revolution is still evolution. But I say it's the wrong type of evolution if you want free humans, if you want the kind of complexity that led to our civilization. Exactly. So if you want to see everyone starting to team up, self-sacrifice, shoot themselves dead after having accomplished their purpose for a central AI, then you can go for that direction. But I'm saying it's the wrong direction if you like humans the way they are, which is a free thinking and creative species. So what would happen if we were to start genetically modifying ourselves is there would be a runaway where people do more and more genetic modification because it gets better and better for them, and they would increasingly need the contribution of AI systems that would decide what's a good gene, what's a bad gene. And ultimately, this AI system would at first serve us extremely well, and the people who would get those genetic modifications would effectively improve a lot. But at some point, the AI would start making trade-off decisions. What if I reduce a little bit the creativity of this guy? What if I make this guy just a mechanician? What if I make this guy just a janitor? What if I, when you play with the human phenotype and you start asking, what is the extra here? What could we get rid of? There's so much things we could get rid of.
Why would you
what I'm
need
explaining
human beings to do menial tasks if we have, if we're so advanced in technology at that point, wouldn't we have technology to be doing those menial tasks anyway? So why
exactly.
would we?
So the AI would literally say, well, I have a better janitor than a human janitor, and here's your little robot. So that's the problem, where eventually, yes, this AI decides to replace us with something that's not even human. But along the way, what the AI does is a class system that is like that of bees, which is, all right, you are a specialized sterile worker, you are a carrier of food, you are a soldier, and that doesn't leave place for the complex human phenotype that anyone would consider basically is a human. It's not being human to not be able to go another way, to become creative in something that wasn't expected. And that is to me the gift of sexual selection. Because why have humans become so creative and capable of comedy and charming each other and creating amazing things that shock people and that change history? It's because ultimately we're looking for pussy. And we're doing so, we're trying to be the most successful we can to attract more pussy to us. And in this search, in this eternal search for satisfying the other sex, we have jumped, we have springboarded ourselves into high intelligence, high technology civilization.
Okay. Find that interesting. Some of the more intelligent people that I know are less interested in sexual reproduction and like more, but you know, I understand what you're saying. Like you're saying that like the more intelligent, more creative people have an easier time getting laid, and that's why we evolved to become more and more creative.
Yes, and I would say yes, in current society, high intelligence is probably a hindrance evolutionarily. So having a high intelligence in 2023 leads to less babies on average. I believe that's because what we call intelligence today is kind of a form of malleability of the mind. Really, you're intelligent. Why? Because you can have a teacher insert whatever meme they want in your head, and you're able to repeat it at the moment of the exam. That's what being intelligent is today. When I talk of a drive for intelligence that stems from sexual selection, I talk of what leads to a man 400 years ago being able to take some wood here, some stone here, some whatever there, and be able to hunt a deer with whatever he was collecting. That's the kind of intelligence that would get you a good woman then.
And that's all in your book?
You mean going into the wild hunting for deer? I'm able to do it?
No, but like these theories are all in your book.
Oh, well, this book is specifically, yes, about the problem of what happens when a piece of your body, when a computer you've created, or when whatever
Why don't you
around
show it to the camera? Why don't you show it off?
The revolutionary phenotype, the amazing story of how life begins and how it ends. So my book is about. Sorry, what?
What you okay? You said a couple of things. What is a good woman? Because you said, you know, in order to get a good woman, what is like a good woman?
Well, a good woman is a woman who gives you excellent hope of having a chain of 10 babies before you die.
So a good woman is a woman who is able to reproduce. Do you care at all about like her appearance, her intelligence, her how funny she is, how
basically all human beings, all males care about the beauty and appearance of women because this beauty and appearance is an indicator of their fertility over long term. So the younger, the more clear skin, the more young she appears within boundaries of being capable of producing babies now will be what's attractive to males. I'm not an exception on this.
Okay, well, that's a lot about like the physical stuff, like her physical appearance. What about her like emotional or her intellectual? Do you care at all about that? Does that matter to you?
Being a very high IQ person and kind of a crazy genius type of guy, I am extremely charmed at complex female minds. But that is a rare thing. There's not much guys out there who care that much about it. Most people want to establish some kind of low level, I respect you, I kind of understand you type of relationship. I am stunned when I see special women, and I've known some of the weirdest women in my life. I've been working in a psychiatric clinic in my life, and so I've been exposed to extreme diversity of all the sorts of minds out there. There are women with delusions. There are women with a sense of dark humor that I would never see in. I would see only one in a million women who can do that kind of jokes.
Is that an attraction to you, a woman with a like for instance, like the type of women that you met while you were working in that psychiatric clinic, like women with interesting psychological needs?
I never dated any woman that I encountered in the psychiatric clinic, but they gave me an idea of the diversity of what's out there, and is that attractive to me? I would say that it's attractive to my scientific mind because I like being impressed by what the universe throws at us. And I find that any sort of what modern society calls dysfunctions is always reflective of a deep way in which the normal human brain works. And I love to see the difference when just one thing goes wrong or just one thing goes in a different direction in the brain. Imagine a normal brain, but plus delusions. Imagine a normal brain, but plus a little desire to provoke. Imagine a normal brain, but no willingness to display anything to anyone, no care about what people think. Those are the kind of brain that I do find charming and fascinating. They come with sometimes their own problems and their own risks, but I find it amazing that we have such a cognitive diversity in a species that otherwise has included in its dating patterns extreme selection. Like, it's amazing how much a woman scans you as she decides whether she will get inseminated by you. You can go wrong on a lot of things. There's a lot of sentences you could drop that's going to be a deal breaker forever. She might slap you in the face. And despite that extreme sexual selection happening at the moment of dating and the decision of insemination, we have kept an amazing amount of diversity running and living among us. And to me, that's an illustration that this diversity serves something. I don't think that autism, schizophrenia, and all these things, I don't think they exist for nothing. I think they have a role, and it's a form of specialty. It's a niche that we are exploiting.
You said you're autistic last night, right?
Well, I mean, I don't consider myself clinically autistic. I consider myself, though, having the personality aspects of someone who doesn't like social interactions very much, very analytic brain. I have these specific interests that I become very passionate about. So I guess you could say I have these features, but I don't consider them clinical features at all.
Okay. With the women that you have dated in the past, have you noticed a pattern of, like, because you find these types of attractions interesting, these mind attractions interesting, have you found that the women that you have dated tend to have had, various mental disorders?
No, but I would say I am open. And being an open guy has attracted women like this to me at different times in my life. But I wouldn't say that I seek them. This is something that women have a hard time understanding. But you women are choosing your males, right? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you can tell me about how you date, but it's my impression that you do a lot of selection. Do you?
I do. Yes, I'm pretty.
So tell me about the criteria. Like, if you were to establish whether you accept a man, what would you be looking for first?
What would I be looking for first? I think this might sound shallow, but I think originally I would want some sort of physical attraction, some sort of chemical attraction. And then after that, I would like an intellectual attraction. So and for me, I would like my partner to be like sufficiently intellectual so that I could have interesting conversations with them, so that I can know that we're on the same page when it comes to difficult decisions. And so, that's something that's attractive to me, like someone who is mature enough to be in a emotional relationship, someone who's mature enough for fatherhood, someone like these are important qualities for me. Yeah.
Well, the way most males approach the dating world is not to even have that degree of complexity on what they want. If you push them, they will try to make up a story like, oh yeah, I like girls like this or like that, just to satisfy you that they have criteria. But the reality of male dating in this world is that any woman that is at a minimal standard above a threshold that we have in our brain in terms of beauty, we will fuck. That is just what dating is for males. And so yes, because you have that rule, and because I'm an open guy, it means to sometimes bizarre women that I have dated. But it's not my fault because I'm open. Like, people sometimes reproach to me that I am for cognitive diversity and that I am respectful of people with different minds. I don't get it.
I understand. No, it's being non-ableist, which,
Exactly.
is... Okay, do you mind if I take a minute to read super chats and then we'll do the same
Go ahead.
before 40th minute mark. So we'll do it every 20 minutes. So let's start. Mashallah, Mama JF was sent to Israel this morning. Let's all, say prayer for Israel, seriously, or a nice thought for Israel. To Lauren's Better Microphone Soundproof Room Fund. I had a wonderful microphone which broke on the way here, which broke on the drive to Miami.
You can never let a guest have better audio than you. That is a no-no in the streaming business.
It's okay. You have a great studio. You have a show. You've been doing it for a while. I'm new to the scene, but you followed me on Twitter before I followed you. So
is that the new status on Twitter? Who follows first? Mexican stand-up.
Should the less intelligent be able to get into relationships and have children? What's your opinion on that? Do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
So you think if someone is let's say a 50 IQ, do you think that they should have the ability to have kids?
Yes, I radically oppose to any adult human being being interfered by the judgment of others on their decision making, no matter how bad you may think it is.
Alrighty, and I understand that to a certain point because you have a constitutional right to be a parent, but then again, for instance, if somebody has harmed children in the past, you could lose the right to be a mother in the future or father in the future if you've shown to be abusive towards children. But you're right, if you haven't committed a crime yet, if you're just low IQ, then you have a good point there. Let's try this one. Okay, so this one is a little bit dark. I'm sorry, but I did say to the nice audience, I'm going to raise the price to $5 now. So JF equals Coomer who knocked his wife.
So at least if you insult me, you have to pay $5 for it.
Now you have to pay $5. It's not just $2 anymore. Okay, ask JF about his. So we did before the show say that we weren't going to talk about kids. People have been asking me all day, are they safe or are you still taking care of them? I know that you said that you wouldn't get into that. So if you don't want to, you don't have to, but that's just a question I've been getting all day.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty, let's go on then. So we'll do the same thing at the 40th minute mark. So can you tell me about, as I've been doing some research, I learned about a prior girlfriend. So first of all, Mama GF isn't your wife, right?
She's not technically my wife. We are not married. We are common law spouse, but I consider that she is my wife.
By common law spouse, how long have you lived together? And is there a statute within the place that you reside that allows you to have some sort of legal connection for it to be considered a marriage of sorts?
We are together since 2018. We are common law spouse by the standard of the government, but that's not what I care about when I say I consider her a wife. I just consider that our interests in life have been tied forever by the time we have spent together, and I consider that I will always defend her interest and that we are bound to each other forever, even if she gets other boyfriend. I consider that there is no way to detach what has been done in reality and what has been produced from our union.
That's beautiful sentiment. I really love that. Is there a reason that you didn't get married? Is it because of the ideology that you're not really a proponent of government?
Yeah, I mean, I don't particularly need marriage. I don't think that at this point marriage means anything in and of it as a legal entity these days. So to me, marriage is a strategic question. And it's a strategic question about who has the most money and who, on the other hand, will be potentially draining the money of the other when the divorce happens and the assets are split. And so marriage in and of itself has no meaning to me, the legal aspect of it. To me, marriage, what matters about it is the commitment between the two humans. And that commitment can be done in front of a tree, in the forest, in a park. I don't care.
But you've been married before, right?
Yes, because there were times in the past where marriage was a good strategic decision in terms of combining assets, in terms of living in the same country, in terms of all these legal advantages. And there are then other times of my life where marriage ended up not being the solution because the distribution of assets between the two spouses is ultimately what determines who has leverage in a marriage.
And is um is your missing girlfriend, is she your first baby mama?
Well, I've already indicated to you that I would not answer anything concerning children. So.
Oh, okay. I didn't think. Sorry, I was trying to get I was trying to get around to asking kids, but I was trying to see if there was because I don't want to ask anything that would like expose your family, but I do want to know like your relationship history and if you have.
What I often say is I am really satisfied by life. I have produced many projects, family projects that I'm satisfied with through many families, and I have an extreme gratefulness for what the physical universe gave me in terms of links to these projects.
Okay, that's an interesting. Projects is an interesting term to use when describing familial life, but yeah, okay. And can you tell us about your daily routine right now? Like what you're doing on a day to day now that you're living the way you are?
Well, I've always been an intellectual, so I spend a lot of time thinking. I prepare my show. I promote my book. I'm also a mathematician and a computer programmer. So I do a lot of contract work where companies need solving of complex mathematical problems, and I really love this. I live a very satisfying life intellectually.
Can you tell me like what your day looks like? So like what time you wake up in the morning, and then what you do when you wake up, and then what you do throughout your day?
Well, I wake up, my God, I wake up at maybe noon, and then I start checking if I have work, if I have things that need to be resolved. I take care of all the household duties, the caring of everything that's important in life and that's in the house. And then I think about problems, and slowly, as I see that I have less and less work to do, now I can release my mind a little bit and start thinking, what will I talk about on the stream tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time? So eventually, an idea of what are the big news items today, what could we talk about, or sometimes I'm just shocked by a random idea that I want to talk about, which becomes the main theme of my show of the night. That is pretty much how my day looks, and then after the show, I go on resolving mathematical stuff, programming, developing efficient applications that are needed by companies that have requested them to me, and then I sleep.
Okay. You live by yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. And how have you been? Because you mentioned on a different show that you've been, I do want to make sure that you've been doing okay, because I would imagine losing your wife. So you used to live, with your wife, your entire family, and now you're living by yourself. How are you doing emotionally? How are you doing mentally? You also have an empty fridge, you said, and you're doing a lot of takeout. Like, I would imagine this is a
What?
really tough time. So
What
I'm
is
just like,
this takeout thing? I don't do
yeah,
takeout.
what do you do to feed yourself?
Just because I mentioned in the pre-show that I went to the restaurant.
Oh, no. On a different, no, I'm not using stuff
Oh,
from the
okay. You were asking if okay. I thought you were stating that I said that I was doing takeout. No, I actually there's not much takeout options around where I live.
And what are you're
Of
just going to
course,
restaurants today?
The description of my fridge was an exaggeration that I've done on a show to describe the fact that I felt relieved that my fridge was no more packed with extreme amounts of vegetables. Of course, my fridge is filled with plenty of food, and I am in no need of care, supervision, or empathy, or need of concerns around my survival and my household.
Well, I mean, having a missing wife, I would imagine, would be extremely difficult. No?
I live well because while my wife is missing, she has been missing from a trip that she has engaged in consensually. So, my wife left, Mama JF left consensually. She wanted to go away, and I'm fine with what she has decided. I don't have to have worries for her because I trust that she has all of the survival skills to survive on her own, even if she doesn't want to communicate with me. So the person who has declared my wife missing is a group of policemen. It is not me. As far as I'm concerned, my wife told me she was going away, and she seemed to be wanting this. So I don't consider her missing. I simply consider her not wishing to contact me.
Yeah. Do you mind if we just I know you've already gone over the story, but do you mind if we go over it again just because?
Yeah, we can go over it.
So June 17th, that's when you drop her off, right?
Yes.
And where exactly did you drop her? You don't have to say the geographical location, but did you drop her off at the bridge or at the gas station? Because I think that was a point of contention.
I dropped her off at a gas station that is located at the very entry of an important bridge in Canada.
Okay. And when you went to that gas station, did you pump any gas?
Did I pump in any gas? I don't remember. I may have. I may not have also, because we're talking about a 1-hour drive. So I would have to check my credit card. But because I've never needed to check for it, because I know that the police who have investigated this drop-off, they know that it happened. So I don't have to make further proofs that it happened. They have understood that it was true, that I did drop my wife on June 17th at this gas station.
They have video evidence from the gas station?
I don't know what they have, but I know that they believe me.
How do you know that?
Well, because they have affirmed that they have had a sighting of Mama Jeff 2 days later at some other place that is totally in line with where I dropped her, and imagining that she has continued her way after this gas station.
Yeah.
So there is no question that she was with me on June 17th, and there is no question then that she was somewhere else.
And when you dropped her off, what was she with her? What was on her? What was on her person?
Well, I didn't quite remember what she was wearing, but now that they have had a sighting of her, and someone described her clothes as maybe because they saw her on a camera, I now remember that she did have some dark pants and a faux leather jacket, as they call it, and she did have also a backpack with stuff that she was planning to use to survive in. During our travel.
Can you describe the jacket more?
It was a jacket that was kind of the jacket you would expect on a homeless, poor person. A very ugly jacket, kind of looking like ridiculously cowboy-like or hobo-like.
How long has she had that jacket?
I think she had it forever since we know each other, but it's not a jacket that she would wear in our relationship. It's a jacket that she had stored in our home, and she put it on at some point as part of her plan to leave and live on the streets or travel the way she wanted to.
Oh, so you're saying that you wouldn't have any pictures of her wearing that jacket, or people wouldn't have seen her in that jacket during the time that you guys were dating?
No, I've never seen her wearing that jacket except the day she left.
Okay. All right. So then she left. She took her phone with her when she left, right?
Yes.
And you guys were communicating throughout the day on June 17th, 18th, and 19th?
Maybe there was a day where we didn't communicate, but yes, I generally knew that she was okay during these 2 days.
How did you generally know that she was okay? Were you calling each other? Were you texting?
Well, because, for example, I don't know if we have a texting on the 18th, but we certainly have a texting on the 19th, which means that she was okay on the 18th also, you know.
Can you show us your text, or can you send me the text? Because
no, this is something that's easily capturable by the police and that I couldn't possibly lie on. So I don't think I need to make my case to the public showing some very private conversation that includes private elements to it. I don't think I need this to convince anyone that this is true. The police is able to capture our text anytime they want.
there's like this thing that you could do on your phone where it blurs out all of the messages except for one. So for instance, I text this loser named Amy, and I can like hide all of the text except for one and do this, and see like, hey, can you do that?
No, I'm not showing my phone.
Oh, okay.
I am.
I'll stop. Sorry, I'll stop.
It is so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous as a request when even the police doesn't question this narrative. They know that they could know, and it's not even if I was blurring or not blurring. They could get those messages from the cell phone company. They could check whether I'm lying, and don't worry, they will. So no, I'm not going to show my cell phone to convince people on the internet. You guys cannot believe me if you want for months, and then eventually you'll realize that you were wrong. I really don't care.
No, it's such a difficult situation, and there's so many men who have been in a very similar situation where they were just loving partners to a woman, and the woman was either kidnapped or gone missing or just left, and the man was accused of some egregious crime. And then there's been other times when the man, because stats. But then I also listened to your interview last night with Andrew about your feeling on stats and about your feeling on how it's parasitic to think about crimes in terms of stats when each crime is an individual offense. So I have a lot of empathy for your situation. I'm surprised that you're not more emotional about it.
Well, welcome to my life. I'm one of the least emotional men on earth right now.
Why?
Like generally, I am a low emotion guy, what people call a low affect person. I am a rational mind. That is what makes me a great scientist. I have great contributions to do to the world thanks to that aspect of my mind. And on the other hand, I can stay with my head on my shoulder in emergency situations like the one we are in right now. Shouldn't we be thankful that there are people like me? I mean, you want someone like me to be your ambulance guy when you get a heart attack.
Yeah, absolutely. You seem very intelligent. You seem very calm-nerved. To be fair, I think some of the best nurses end up being serial killers, but so just because you might be the best at saving someone's life doesn't mean you're
probabilistic bigotry. I
No,
don't know what you think you
Like,
can
for
accomplish with this. It's not intelligent to do this.
No,
it's not
and
intelligent to
it
throw
is
accusations completely freely, gratuitously. I could do the same accusation. I could come here and say there's lots of women who are crazy, so you're probably crazy too. But I don't do it because I respect you.
Accusations. I'm just saying that I think it's funny because the characteristics that you're highlighting, calm-nerved, which is good for stressful situations. It is true, but it doesn't also mean that you're not capable. But I mean, it means the human mind is interesting, and you would know this, right? You would probably know much, much, much better than me, as you are the doctorate in this, and I am the I got a general education with some psychology, so I probably have a little bit less. Oh, anyway, so
Much
do
less.
you think, let's just take a break. Let's do some super chats and we'll come back. We'll check this out. Okay. Why would your wife abandon her kids? I mean, I know you don't want to talk about kids, but can you at least acknowledge that that is a crime? Like, why would she commit a crime? So we don't have to talk, let's not talk about the kids, but why would she be okay with committing some egregious crime that harms
No,
others?
listen, you're deluded.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't.
I'm really trying to be respectful. I'm not trying to be rude at all. But seriously, how am I deluded? Because it is a crime
because
to.
you're attributing crimes to things that you don't understand at all. You don't even meet a standard of prima facie case for a crime. It is not a crime to travel. Is it a crime to go to LA? Is it a crime to travel to LA?
Wait, hold on. What's prima facie? Could you explain?
Yeah, exactly. You know nothing. You're stupid. You are extremely stupid. It's like worse than talking to a monkey.
I've never heard the phrase prima facie.
Yeah, because you don't know Latin and I don't have time to teach you.
No, you're right. I'm so stupid. Anyway, it's hard being this dumb sometimes, but thank you for having the patience to talk to me. But I do know that it is a crime to abandon your kids. And Mama J seems like a really wonderful woman. And I triggered him that bad. He left. I was really trying. He rage quit. Okay.
You did great.
I tried my best, Amy.
You literally did nothing. There's nothing. You were being so respectful.
Was I? I was trying.
I mean, you pushed him a little bit more. Obviously, it's not going to be a play session. You did good, but you were not being rude. You were being offensive in any way.
I think he started getting nervous after the jacket question. I think that was like a good, I think he was pulling that out of his ass, kind of. I don't know. I think after that, the tone kind of shifted.
They were very valid things. He's being accused of killing his wife, and the traits that you listed are common.
Yeah.
It's a really, yeah, I mean.
Okay. Well, let's read the rest of the super chats. Why would your wife abandon her children? One of them is a newborn, according to your neighbors on Facebook. JF, do you think Mama JF or Andy Worski will contract HIV